Welcome to Entrepreneurial Reality with Bash. Every week we'll be speaking to startup and scale-up founders to learn about them, their ambitions for the business, goals and objectives. Every conversation is a moment in time, documenting entrepreneurs' current situation with a view to coming back next year to see how they are getting on. Each journey will be different. Each innovation could be game-changing. I hope you enjoy. I'm very pleased to have Dan Hogston with me. If you could provide us with a bit of background as to businesses that you have built, and then we'll go into a bit more around the technology that you're looking to build.
So my name is Dan Hogston. I have a background in operations management across large venues, music venues, art galleries, museums, retail. I've set up coffee shops, bars within venues, currently a barbershop that I own in Deptford in southeast London. Mm-hmm. And I've taken 10 years of experience building front of house teams in these operations, and then taking that experience from larger venues and scaling it down to smaller venues like a coffee shop and a barber shop, and actually seeing the success in those smaller venues when they're run with larger scale operation thinking behind them. From that, I've evolved a little bit into the tech industry. So my current project, which I'm most focused on and passionate about now, is my company called Yippee iPay. Yippee iPay has been an idea for the last year, but we formed it as a company 4 months ago. So our product is a point of sale system aimed at micro businesses. We define that as businesses which is 0 to 9 employees, turning over under £1 million. What our product does is it basically provides a business analyst for these micro businesses in the form of an AI, taking their aggregated data, analyzing it and providing them with insights about their business. It will look at what their best performing days are, what their best products that they sell are, if they're a street food vendor, what locations they perform better at and what products. And as it takes that data, it will begin to form intelligent insights about the business and then make suggestions to the business owner. On top of that, it also has a consumer facing app. That app is linked directly into the point of sale, and it allows consumers to do ordering ahead and collect loyalty points. And we have a tab system within our point of sale. So all of the orders that come in with notifications. It doesn't take you into a separate app or outside of the screen that you're using. You just tab across, accept the order. A notification goes back to the app to process that order, gives you a waiting number or a collection number, gives you loyalty points for doing the transaction within the app, and just makes the cash out or checkout process a lot quicker, because then you just take that order number, collect the item and walk away.
Just to jump in there, the loyalty schemes where you get a stamp on the card, I'm forever putting my hands in my pockets trying to find the right loyalty card, and it's usually somewhere on a desk back at the office. So it's a major frustration of mine, and you have to pick up a new one, and then you don't actually realize that the return of the loyalty. So is this all digitalized then? Is that what you're saying?
So completely digitalized. So I've got the same problem. I don't carry a wallet around anymore. I do all of my transactions through Apple Pay or through an app like Deliveroo or Uber. So I've gone walletless, cashless, cardless, and I'm not able to collect loyalty points in this way. And I had realized I have Vitality life insurance, and I collect loyalty points through my activity that's collected through my Apple Watch, and I get a free Starbucks coffee every week. I don't drink Starbucks coffee, so it's wasted, but it's quite fun seeing that I've each week telling me I've earned a reward. And I was thinking, well, what about the coffee shops I do go to? So the one I go to in the morning on my way into work, I can be in quite a rush. What if I ordered that on my app? It's a 3-minute walk from my front door to that coffee shop and next to the station. What if I ordered that on my app? It was able to bypass the queue because of the way we've built the point of sale in store, or will build the point of sale. They get the notification, they accept the order, the payment comes straight out of my account, the loyalty cards go on, and I just walk to the end of the counter, pick up the coffee and jump on the train. Small business for them, because if I walk past them in the morning and I see they've got 2 or 3 people in front of me and that train isn't running delayed like it normally does, then I'm not likely to get a coffee that day. I'll have to get it from bank when I come in off the other end.
I see. So how do you see yourself as being different to other technologies that are out there, the likes of Xero and their network of applications, and ones that you see at point of sale already in the likes of a Starbucks?
Point of sale can either be very expensive and not very intuitive, which is what I would call the legacy systems. When you've seen these big 15-inch touchscreens that are bespoke, systems, taking up a lot of space on the counter. I've actually rolled out a system with these. It was a nice looking machine. This was in 2015 by a company called Bleep. It was a 14-inch touchscreen, very nice looking, looked well in the shop, but the touchscreen wasn't great actually, and the back end wasn't very intuitive. And our finance manager, this was for the music venue that we had it in, and the coffee shop that was attached to the music venue. Our finance manager was spending a lot of time just trying to export sales data from the back end, put it into spreadsheets and try and analyze that data. So this is where I first encountered the problem. For the barbershop and for the art gallery that I work at the moment, I've rolled out both iZettle and Shopify. These systems are a lot cheaper and a lot more intuitive than what else is out there. However, iZettle can be quite limited in the reports that it offers you, and it doesn't give you any insight into your business. They have something called iZettle Pro that gives you better reporting, but it does cost £30 a month. And I personally don't feel that it gives you value, particularly for the smaller businesses. So if we're looking at street food vendors or smaller coffee shops, they would struggle to justify spending £30 a month. So to not get a lot of value for the money that they're spending is, I don't think a lot of people are going towards the iZettle Pro market. They stick with the free software and try to understand the reports or the sales data that they get. Shopify is even more frustrating. So that one is what we use at the gallery. And you have to integrate with third-party apps. And again, you pay a separate price for these apps. It can be anything from £10 to £40 a month to get what I would call basic reporting. And I found myself training up my team, spending hours with Excel and showing them how to actually take the data, interpret the data, and put it into the type of reports that we need. These are things that are time consuming and frustrating. And with AI out there, machine learning now, you can basically get the AI to do this for you and have the data that you need presented in a way that you need in 2 or 3 seconds at the click of a button.
So is this structured data and unstructured data being presented in the report?
So there's the structured data based on your sales and the more data you put into our products. So your inventory, for example, it will take all of that data, break it down and give you insights on your sales. The future, so we haven't developed this part yet, but what we're working on is introducing third-party insights. So that could be a Deloitte report or CB Insights, taking this industry or sector-wide data, having the AI introduce that into its thinking, if you will. An example of that could be London Coffee Week is coming up. Have you thought about getting a ticket for this? Would you like to pitch?
That sounds really powerful. Having industry benchmarks and then having your own business, even at a very small scale, being able to have industry benchmarking and comparing yourself, your performances against that, and then delivering further insight into the market as well. Could you just tell us a bit more about what your team looks like? Who else is involved in the team at the moment? How did you source them?
So I've got an in-house team. It's 3 of us all together. So I have a CTO, his name's Keldon, and I have a VP of sales and marketing called Jamie. Both of them are very good friends of mine. So we've come together out of friendship. I've known Keldon for 20 years. He was actually one of my business partners in the early days when I was a music promoter. So Keldon's a very talented musician as well as being a coder, and his main focus now is coding, building websites, more lately or more so going towards AI and machine learning. Jamie's one of my friends from university. He's an excellent sales guy and social media influencer. So on his personal account, he already has more than 10,000 followers on Instagram, 2,500 on YouTube. So having Jamie on board overseeing our sales and marketing is just a real asset. He's really eager, can't wait to get the product in his hands so he can get out there selling it. Keldon's busy at the moment breaking down iZettle's SDK, just making sure we're fully compatible with it as a payments gateway. And for what I bring to it as the CEO is the vision, the idea, and just gluing everything together.
What sort of challenges have you faced in bringing your team together? Granted, they're friends, and mixing friends and relationships with business.
So Keldon and Jamie weren't necessarily friends before coming together with this. They'd only met at the start of this year or at the end of last year when I was getting a little bit more formal with putting this company together, taking it from an idea I had in my head and thinking about what team I need around me to deliver this. So Keldon and Jamie are new friends, getting on really well, but the friendship's more the friendships that I've had with these gentlemen outside of this company. Me and Jamie have for the last 3 years been trying to work on or release a business together. So we we looked at releasing an optician's eyewear company. So we came up with the idea, Øyne Eyes. It was the Norwegian word for eyes. It was very Scandinavian inspired eyewear. We got some mock-ups made. So even the sunglasses I wear today is just two of a kind. Only me and Jamie have the only pairs in existence.
Oh, cool.
But we got the initial collection made. We did sell it, but there was a lot of barriers to entry into this industry. And although we thought we could create a cool eyewear range and use our social media skills to market it and sell it and be successful, there's barriers to entry with the finance that we needed to raise to actually build our own range and keep to our values of building it within the EU and not outsourcing to China.
Okay.
And then the cost of the materials, of the labor, doing business in Greece. This was particularly a factory we were working with. So 2 years ago, when we were trying to do this, it just, for whatever reason, didn't come together. But part of what we needed to deliver this would have been an e-commerce platform. We were looking at Shopify and a point of sale in store with a CRM built in and a customer database for the eyewear prescriptions. So a lot of where Yippee iPay is today is birthed out of the idea that me and Jamie have been knocking around with for the last 2 to 3 years.
Like a phoenix out of the flames, see? Yeah, brilliant. Who else is going to be building the platform? Is it going to be Keldon alone, or would you be broadening that team over time?
So to validate the idea, we actually went to a company called YouCreate, and we did a 4-week program with them where we took them the idea, our assumptions, and they did market research. They validated the idea for us with hard stats, did competitor analysis for us. We had already done it, but it was good for them to do it as a third party. They built some of the UI for us. So I did some wireframes, and then they took that idea and have converted that into a working UI now, of which we have a prototype demo. So the AI itself isn't coded yet.
So you're seeing some of the reporting constraints of the likes of iZettle and Shopify, and you're complementing the existing infrastructure that other organizations are using, as well as maybe replacing in the future?
That's correct. So if you're an iZettle user already, the idea would be that you can just log into our software with your iZettle account, and then your sales data will funnel through our point of sale, and our AI will begin to analyze that for you and produce the reports. We're also focusing on UI and actually making it fun. What we're building is notifications within the user experience itself. So when you close a shift and it happens to be your best day, you're going to get an emoji celebration emoji coming up saying, "Yippee, you've had your best day."
Oh, is that where the name comes from?
It's a diehard influence, but our user interface has been gamified. So it creates leaderboards of what your best products are, what your best days are, and it presents it in a way as if you was looking at a scoreboard at a game or playing a video game.
Yeah, I love gaming as well. I've got friends in the industry. Where do you see yourself in the next 12 months? You still got to complete the platform, take it to market. Have you got customers already?
We've got potential customers. We've got a street food operator is quite interested in going cashless. We've had some initial conversations with them about potentially rolling our platform out to any of their new businesses at least, and getting their iZettle customers on board with it. To then look at having a universal loyalty scheme within a street food market actually brings a sense of community cohesion. So this particular operator was interested in that. It's quite promising, and we're looking that once we've got this ready to go, that there would be an initial 20, 30 customers that might come on board.
So when do you think you'll go live?
We are looking for investment right now. The investment basically enables us to expand our team. So it won't just be Keldon building it, but actually bring on 3 or 4 more developers, and gives Jamie a salary to go full time so he can be out selling this thing.
Okay.
With that, I've tried to structure, I don't know if it's a unique business model or investment plan with our money and milestones, but what I would like if I was investing in it. So for £150,000 investment is what we're trying to seek right now. We know that we need to get 500 customers in the next year to see £100,000 turnover.
So how much are you charging then?
So we're looking at £25. We've come up with this figure because it's cheaper than Shopify and iZettle Pro. And from speaking to micro business owners, we think it's the price that they're comfortable paying for a monthly service.
Okay.
We come to that because Zero was £25 when a lot of people signed up for it, and it's slowly creeping up to nearly £30, and I've heard some complaints. So I've come to think that £25 is about the right price for software as a service for micro businesses.
Okay, great. And of course, it's about ease of implementation, speed of deployment, ease of use, and of course, it sound based on your design methodology and gamification, you're going to get greater user engagement, which is good to hear. And so, with the investment, have you actively gone out to different methods of raising the funds just yet?
So we are part of a network which we've joined through Ucreate. We are just working on a few final things before we go out to investment. So I don't think August is probably the best time to try and raise investment. So probably from the start of September, our pitch deck and our prototype will go out to our network of investors. And then we will see what comes back and then probably look to go wider if we're not getting the right type of investor. So as a company, me particularly as an individual, I'm not just looking for an investor who's looking to just put some cash in and then get a cash return in a few years' time without really being too actively involved with us as the founders. So I'd say it that way because obviously an investor doesn't want to be too involved with the business necessarily, but we would like to build personal relationship with the investor, get some insights from them. Hopefully they've got experience, similar experience that can help us with our journey. So we have a mentor or a sounding board that we can go to, someone who may be interested in taking a board seat or at least in an advisory role in the company as well.
Interesting. And so what would the profile look like in terms of the market that you're looking to address? What sort of value-added skills and knowledge and network would you be looking for?
Definitely a fintech investor or a tech investor with experience in fintech. We know that it's easy to use iZettle and Shopify as gateways, particularly for the point of sale. However, the consumer app is going to need something more similar to Deliveroo, which has got some barriers in itself that we're going to have to cross, and this might be 6 to 9 months down the line. So we're probably looking for an investor that has a little bit more experience with this, maybe some FCA knowledge, although we do have someone else who's a director at an investment bank who is willing to be a voice into our company and come on our board and help us with this.
That's good. What investment bank?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say at the moment. I can say it's a Russian investment bank.
Oh, I see.
With a major office in the UK.
How much equity actually are you looking to sell as part of the investment?
Between 10 and 20% per round of investment. It would be a conversation with the investor. If it's on the higher end of the 20%, what value are they bringing beyond the capital for that? But we need to be left with a lot of the company really because 150,000 angel investment, we need to be at seed within the next year, which is going to be in excess of $1 million. And if we get to Series A, so we need to be left with some of the company after all of these rounds. Of
course, yeah. There is a point when you've got to trade off, well, how much of the company you're giving up and the idea that you're giving up, and you're putting all the time and effort in.
Well, we're left with what's
then
the
you
reward.
don't get the return for all the effort and the blood, sweat and tears, because it's quite impactful across your life. I must admit, based on the entrepreneurs I've met already, it's a lot of time and investment up front, and then not necessarily to realize the validation from the markets as well. And that's where it's interesting how quickly could you get yourself being profitable as a business, generating money, then may not necessarily need to go back to the money markets for growth.
Certainly with the model that we're launching with, we may not need Series A.
Okay.
I might be wrong, but I think Moo, the business card makers, they didn't need to go as far as Series A. They raised seed, and then because they're monetized straight away, they're actually able to just grow organically to becoming where they're at, which I think is $1 billion valuation. And I may not have my facts right on this, but it was my understanding that they didn't need Series A.
Okay, so that's 6 months into the 12 months of where you're going to be. You've received your funding, you've invested in your team, you've invested in the product, you go into market and selling. You said to realize the return, you need 500 customers. Would that make you profitable then?
Yes, we will be from the 500 customers.
Okay. So
we'd still be a small company. We'd be covering our operating costs and perhaps have a profit.
Yes, well, fingers crossed. And so would you commit to say 500?
So we obviously want more than that, but we are certainly looking for the 500 to be a beta group. So A model of having a sales guy out signing up people is not scalable, particularly when you want to go beyond London. So we are doing that. Jamie will go out and get the 500 initial customers, but that should be enough to cover our operating costs and present a good case to get a seed investor, which we're looking to raise over $1 million at that point, and then scale the business in a similar way to, well, as a tech company, people download the product from the app stores, pay us a subscription. We use marketing channels, a bit of growth hacking to get out there. So to become truly scalable, we will need the seed investment to do that, but we should cover all of our operating costs with our angel investment and have somewhat, if not a tiny profit.
So for the benefit of the listeners, could you explain a little bit more about what you mean by marketing channels and the sort of growth hacking that you're looking to achieve? How do you go about doing that, and what does it mean?
Growth hacking, I would define as getting ourselves out there really quickly with the least amount of investment into the marketing channels. So a traditional marketing campaign might look at billboard posters. It might look at, would have been in the past, radio advertising or television advertising, but I think that more now budget will look at social media advertising, perhaps YouTube, and more specialist channels, particularly for us as we're food and drinks. So we might look at Caffeine magazine or the craft beer industry magazines. That could be quite a big budget. So growth hacking would give us a good amount of potential customers with the least amount of spend. And it would do that through doing very targeted adverts, perhaps on Facebook. I use Facebook a lot myself, but I know a lot of people do use it. Instagram. And you would do a short run ad. You would see what resonates with the customers, and then you would go back and really push that a little bit harder, get people to come to a landing page with a sign up option, collect their data, obviously complying with GDPR, collect their data and then follow that up to try and convert that to an acquisition. A lot more focused. So you would look at targeting specifically coffee shop owners or craft beers operators or breweries.
So test the micro verticals effectively. Yeah.
Effectively.
Thank you for that. So that's the end of the 12 months. And I'd love for you to come back and share your journey. There are a few more questions I'd like to ask. And is there anything in particular that you're experiencing that you'd recommend the listeners or to the listeners? Validation
of the idea, I think for me was key. So I'd like to think I'm quite intuitive with how technology trends work. Although this is my first tech company, I'm a massive techie geek. Some of the things like Apple Pay, how it's taken off, it's something I thought about that I would like years before it was ever released. I thought I didn't want to carry around even cash. So with contactless, I didn't even want to carry the card around. I have a phone. That's all I want to have in my pocket. And I'm very glad that this idea I had, like the market saw it, and Apple Pay, Android Pay, Samsung Pay, whatever's out there now, has cottoned on really quickly, particularly in London. But I've also noticed that in Europe, in Paris, in Norway, where I went to the end of last year on short trips, actually, I didn't really need to carry my wallet around with me much there either. That's just one.
So just with regards to the validation of the idea, you went to Ucreate to help create a proof of concept, explore the market and do market research. Then you've tested it with a few people or put the idea across to a few people and said, yes, this will work.
So we've done initial user testing and market research with Ucreate. The idea has been validated. So I'm feeling confident now that we can get this out there and it will work. For me, I could have just done this without that. We could have gone on a gut feeling. It might still have been successful, but it would have taken a lot longer.
So I'm a big fan of category creation. Are there any particular competitors that you see at the moment?
So what would be when we release ourselves, our product, Vend is a company. They would be a direct competitor. They're offering a point of sale that's compatible with iZettle and deeper insights and analytics and data and user experience. So very similar to us. However, I find them to be quite expensive. So they're aimed at more of the medium-sized enterprises that have multiple locations. And they charge starting at £80 a month and upwards, which is not really affordable for our micro businesses. So what we have found in our research that in the time that we spent with Ucreate was that all of the big companies are completely underserving the micro business market. Micro businesses actually make up 22% of all UK turnover. And yet it's a market that's underserved. It also makes up 96% of the total businesses in the UK, with an 18% estimated growth in the next 5 years.
Wow, thank you. That's quite an interesting stat considering they haven't been served. But what's the lifetime of a business that's so small? Because there's so many different variables in the environment.
So actually, as an owner of a micro business myself, which would be the barbershop, we basically hit the 100k mark in turnover per year. This is a shop that I've owned, just a single location, for 2.5 years. Once we hit 85k, we're then liable to pay VAT. That's a 20% chunk out of our business. And actually, this type of industry is only about 20% profitable, because barbers are self-employed usually, and they take a big commission and a big cut. So most of the turnover of the shop goes back towards the barber. And we don't sell a lot of products, and we're not product focused, it's a service focus. But what we're left with gets eaten up really quickly with VAT. It could be corporation tax, depending on how you structure your company. We're quite lucky in the sense that we structured this as a limited liability partnership. So we're not hit with corporation tax. Only what we take from the company, we pay personal tax on. A lot of the micro businesses that we'll be serving with Yippee iPay will be in a similar boat. They're around about £100,000 turnover. They don't want to be paying £80 a month or £40 a month probably for software, because they won't see the value in it when that adds up to £600-700 over a year, and they've got a tax bill of several £1,000s, which is quite costly to them. It's not something they can just write off or put under the carpet. That's a big chunk out of their livelihoods.
Thank you. So what book are you reading at the moment?
I consume most of my content probably through video rather than through reading. Part of the reason for that is that I am a little bit dyslexic, and I don't get the same enjoyment out of reading. I'm just not able to retain the information as well when I'm reading a book. And then in terms of what I would recommend, so if you are watching a lot of YouTube, there's a documentary channel called Cold Fusion. It looks at the tech industry and basically breaks down some of the big ideas. A recent episode would have been on Google's latest AI that they released, that's able to have a conversation over the phone to book a beauty appointment or order a taxi. And they basically looked at the ethics behind that. Should Google be doing it? What type of company are Google? What's their strategy? Why was a lot of the industry outraged by this Google duplex? And they thought they were completely comfortable to release it. They look a lot at blockchain, which is something I'm particularly interested in and something we explored with Yippee iPay. They look a lot at solar energy and renewable energies, which is a topic I'm massively interested in. I probably watch about 30 minutes to an hour of YouTube videos a day. I might watch that on the train on my commute home, or I might watch it at home in the evening if I've got any time to do that.
Yeah, great. I've just read an article actually about some of the really successful business owners and entrepreneurs that have the 5-hour law, and it's about spending 5 hours a week dedicated to learning, so an hour a day. So that's really interesting you say that. Okay, so, and talking about entrepreneurs, which entrepreneur or business owner are you following that you admire?
The cliched answer, Elon Musk is probably, I'd say, a hero of mine at the moment. What he stands for with trying to change the world with renewable energies. Look at Tesla, for example. And he was asked recently, all of the major players now in the car industry are adopting and making EVs. What do you think about that? Is that going to destroy Tesla? And he simply said, if it does destroy Tesla, I've achieved my goal, because my goal was to get EVs out there to stop relying on petrol and fossil fuels. Where he goes beyond Tesla, he obviously owns SpaceX, which is his other big company that he's known for. He's made space flight a lot cheaper than what NASA could do it. Competing with Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin. Is he going to be the first one to get to Mars before NASA does, or anyone else? What could he find on Mars? What could he bring back in terms of minerals? How has that changed technology? So just the way Elon Musk thinks about humanity's future and how we can enrich that, I'm particularly inspired by. And hopefully the ideas that I have for the future might not be massively far away with some of my interests in renewable energy and sustainable farming.
Yeah, that's really interesting to say that, because it just brings an idea to my mind. It's not a race to space or a race to Mars from a country perspective anymore. It's a race based on governments and corporations. Do they work in partnership or do they work independently of each other? And who will get there first? It's kind of a dynamic we can't answer today, but it's certainly a conversation I'd love to have over a beer. Is there a sport you play or you like following? Interest?
I have played American football. I wasn't amazing at it. When I was at university, I was actually a founder and president of the Bath Spa Bulldogs American football team.
Cool.
Where this came from, I wanted to be involved in the rugby socials, but couldn't get on the rugby team. So we set up the American football team, and it was great. We had 30 players. We had a great group of friends that we made through this. We played every Sunday morning, mainly in practice. But in my 18 months of getting this team off the ground, I was very, very proudly got them into the British Universities American Football League, helped to raise, it was an initial £6,000. And then we went on to raise another £6,000 for the second year. This paid for kit for everybody, paid for our buses, the ambulances we needed to book and have on site for our games. We had the Bath Bowl, as we called it, which was Bath University against Bath Spa. We went to Bristol and played one of the better teams in the league, the Barracudas, and got absolutely destroyed, but had a lot of fun in doing that.
In the world of business, in the world of entrepreneurship, having that trait of winning, overcoming adversity, and finding a way, whether it's through or around the problem, and overcoming that, does sing true to across many entrepreneurs. So I think that's a trait that's very valuable. The question that will change every year in terms of your answer, if you could be so kind as to tell me what would you do differently based on what you know now?
What I would do differently, so just looking at some of the costs that we've incurred with some of the early development. Now the tech industry is less of a mystery to me. I see how it works. It's not massively dissimilar to how operations management works in venues, how the teams and the processes work. So I have a much better understanding of that now, and I probably wouldn't have spent so much money in the early days of this company in getting the answers that I needed to get us to where we are right now.
Thank you. That completes our conversation for this year. I'm really happy that you spent the time with me, Dan, and it's great to hear your experiences to date and your ambitions for the future. And hopefully you'll come back in 12 months' time to share your journey and experiences again. Yep,
absolutely. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to sharing with you that we did get that investment. Looking forward to saying that we are where we said we're going to be in a year's time, and actually look about what the future looks like beyond our initial 500 customers.
Great. I wish you every success.
Thank you.
So what do you think? We'll have another interesting story to dive into next week. Looking forward to it already. Some questions to you in the meantime. What is your story? What is your reality right now? And what are you working towards? Let me know. So you can connect with me on Twitter. Just type in Bash in the search and you'll find me. So Bash, B-A-S-H. Easy. On Instagram, it's Bash Reality. So that's Bash_reality. And on LinkedIn, Benjamin Ashmore. Make sure you subscribe, and until next week, cheers.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.